Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to another video here at Abster TCG. So, popular demand, I have gotten a new microphone and a new webcam. Right now I am for a week at my aunt's place, and I'm sitting in an office looking like from the 60s. So I won't use the webcam this week, but I'm going to start using it when I get home, and I can set up more with lighting and do some cool backgrounds and you know, the things you have to do when you have a webcam or something. And I just want to say, I think right now we are at 400 subscribers, which is, to me, is insane. 1 week ago I just put out the video, and I mainly did the 2 other videos I had before that for the Swedish community, just to do some educational content and what I think and try to get the people better. So it's really insane to see that so many people want to see me doing this and do the videos. And now I have gotten a lot of requests on how to play against Purple Luffy. First of all, I think Purple Luffy is a decent matchup for Blackbeard. I think if you are going first, it becomes slightly favored, but if you are going second, it becomes unfavored. So in the grand scheme, Luffy, I would say, is like a 45-55 matchup in the end, because if you would play the matchup 100 times, for example, you're going to lose the die roll 50 times, we could say. So you are unfavored in 50% of the time, and you are slightly favored 50% of the time. So your win rate can be over 50%, but it's a lot more favored for the Luffy player. And this game I would go in right now is a replay from a guy I coached, Tera. Shout out to him. The game is a really good example on how to beat the deck and how to win the deck against the deck. I will go through the thought process I'm doing when I'm playing, and I will talk a little bit about all the options you have and how you should think. I think he executed the game really well. I just think there could be some minor adjustments on his part to be more efficient. But with all that said, let's get right into the gameplay. I think Purple Luffy is a good matchup when you are going first, or maybe not a good, but a 50-50. And if you're going second, it becomes a lot harder, because then Luffy can play to his strengths and push his curve, and your Don makes it harder for you to answer him before he can start going aggressive on you. So I think this video, I've looked through it. It's a really good case of how you win this matchup. I also saw some improvements that could have been done, and I'm going to go through how I would think in this process and just give you my insight on how I would play the matchup. So we are winning the die roll, so we are choosing to go first. And when looking for a mulligan, this is a good example of a really good hand. We find 3 searchers, Vasco and Burgess, so we have 5 quality cards in this matchup. So normally what I like to do is I like to turn 1 either go this is my H, Lafitte or Stage, and try to dig for a docu. If I already got a docu in my hand, I try to find a Van Auger, or try to find Finger Gun, Liberation with Stronger, or a Laboon. Now you can search all of those cards, but in general I want to have a docu set up together with something that can reduce. Because the problem against Luffy is if the bodies he sticks on board gets unanswered, because from that on he can snowball the game, and then he will put out even more bodies, and then he will just aggro you down with 7Ks swings, and you will lose the game in the end. And if you go aggressive on him, it's also really hard to win for that point, because he has the event giant. So your win con in this matchup is to out-resource him and make sure that he can't stick a lot of things to the board. So we're going to get into it. So we're going to keep, that's correct. And we are going to start with Lafitte and passing. So this is a perfect start. And we will see what our opponent will do. So in this case for Luffy, in a lot of cases he will play the 1 cost Trafalgar Law and search for something. Then Law is a small problem because he then can attack on the Lafitte, so it does not act as a pseudo blocker. But as long as he only gets one law, it's kinda okay, because if you get the Doku, you could actually KO it, and then your opponents have the choice, okay, do I need to KO the Doku, or do I go for the Lafitte before I play something? So in that case, this position gets a lot better because he does not get the law. Also, double law is kind of frustrating, because then you're not even going to invest the Doku, and he has bodies he can go aggressive with for the late game. So this is what we want to see. No law, but playing 1 or 2, it's not the end of the world, but this is the optimal position from turn 1. So we are going to attack. It's better to attack first, because then we don't show what we're going to play. And we will see, okay, so our opponent will counter out for it, and we will use the Lafitte. We will take the Doku. I think it's 100% correct play. So from here, Tera will actually go for another Lafitte and do another search. I not 100% agreeing with it. I think just sticking the Doku here is the best play, because when playing Blackbeard you have to think about what your opponent will do next turn and the turn after, and how to combat it in the best way. So playing the Doku here guards us against Law, it guards us against Sorojuro, and it guards us against the 4-cost Usopp, because the next turn after it we could just play the Van Auger, and then we can KO his card he played, and then we are super ahead on board. So I would actually have went Doku in this case, just to safeguard it. And if he goes Angoro and we draw the Laboon, we can actually kill it too with the cards. So I think sticking a Doku there is the base case scenario, especially when we have the Van Auger too. So we go for another Lafitte, which is completely fine. We could take the stage, but Lafitte 2 is a good choice. So we're going to pass, and the opponent is going to take 1 life to go up to 5 Don, and he will attack at the Lafitte as expected. And now we'll see, okay, he will go for the Sorojuro. Maybe he does not have Sangoro. If you're playing Purple Luffy in this scenario, I think you always want to stick to Sangoro instead of Sorojuro, because it's harder for Teach to answer. And if it is unanswered, then you will win the game, because you just draw so many cards from it. So he will stay at 1 Don when he's going to pass, so we don't have any Law, and most likely not going to use Giant. Okay, so in this case we draw the Laboon too. Now when we were playing the turn before, we did not have the information of Laboon, so it would not be correct to play like, oh yeah, we maybe draw Laboon. But we would have the Doku this turn and the Van Auger. We could play the Van Auger, and then we could KO the Sorojuro and be even more ahead, because for Luffy next turn he can maximum go up to 8 Dons by taking a life, and then he could play double Usopp or Usopp Law, or he could only play like a Luffy Taro or Sangoro and nothing else. So we actually still have the tempo and way to answer him. So in this scenario I think that would have been better. So when I watched the game initially, I was thinking about doing Burgess here and then go for This Is My Age, just to pump up the Burgess and try to fix the hand even more. Because for the future turns we could stick the Vasco, we can play Laboon and Doku, and we can swing with the Bergs. But Tera here will actually play Van Auger, which I also think is a completely fine play. The only different is that we will not get a swing, and we will just get more reach for our Doku in hand. So if our opponent goes Luffy Taro next turn, then we can actually just go Laboon, Doku and KO it, and then go Lafitte, which rewards us. But if he's going to go more wide, then this will be a little bit more of a problem doing this, because then we, for the next turn, don't have anything to swing with, because we will most likely decrease with Van Auger. And if we would have done the other way for the Burgess, then we would have a big swinger, and then we could have went for Van Auger Doku on, for example, Sorojuro or another 4-cost if he plays it, and then attack on it and take resources from him. So there's 2 different ways to play it, and it all depends what you expect your opponent to do and what you're most afraid of. In this case, I think he will go up to 8 Dons. He could play 2 cards. Maybe the best way is actually to play against Luffy Taro, because having 2 4 costs are not that likely. Most cases it's a 5 cost and a 4 cost, or 2 5 costs, or yeah. So I think this play may be more correct in this scenario, but there's 2 ways to do it depending what you see what your opponent has. So we're going to play the Vanager. We're going to attack first, of course, and then we are going to play the Vanager. Yeah. And then, yeah, also from everyone, I forgot to tell, when the purple Luffy is going to 7 Dawn and up, it's really good to start using the leader ability, so he can't go Luffy Taro, play a Sangoro, and then you have to answer 2 cards, or he can't go the 9 cost Lin, he can't go 9 cost Luffy to draw a card and get rush. So from this point forward, we are always looking to use leader ability until we can't do it because he can kill us if we throw a counter, or if we are so ahead that we maybe don't have to. But in that case, there's also arguments to do it because we are so ahead, so we don't have to, but it's just better to do it because it won't matter, and then he has 0 chance of getting back. So from this case forward, we are going to look into trash cards from the hand with the black hole. So yeah, looking at our game plan, what we are setting up, I think this is my age is the best card to trash. We could also trash the Vasco or Lafitte, but I think we did the right trash there with this is my age, because it won't come up, and we are not going for the Burgess line, so we don't have to fuel the grave either. So we are going to find the Vanager, which is really kind of good for us in this position, because if we go for Laboon here, as we will, and then Doku and KO the Luffy Taro, we can set up for the next turn to play the Vanager and decrease his 9-drop, and then try to kill it with the Doku if he leaves it up, or if we find another Doku. So as I said before, always think what will opponent do next turn. So he will have the option, he will go up to 10 Dawn, I think. Yeah, so he will have the options to either go a big drop, go wide with 2 smaller drops, or he can just go 1 drop and try to attack harder or things with the bodies he has on his board. So we have to like go through all these scenarios and then adapt accordingly. And in this case, Tera is going to take the read that okay, so our opponent is probably going to drop a big card next turn, and in that way this play becomes better because we have the counter to protect the cards, and then we will be able to KO his big drop next turn. So we're going to KO the Luffy Taro with decreasing Laboon and Augur, and then we're going to use the Lafitte to get the search. And in this case, Doku is the right thing, because then we will have a Doku for next turn. So with the play I was talking about, if we don't find another Doku, then we get a little bit punished because we don't have anything to kill something he has. But now when we find the Doku with the search, and we would also have another Lafitte before doing it, so we would actually dig for some more cards to find it. So I think it's still good, and there's still bodies which are good against this matchup because we can swing with them. So we're going to go leader. In this case I would probably pitch the Lafitte maybe to keep the Vasco and birds. So as it looks like at this point, it is not a game where Burgess probably will come up. So he's going to attack the Lafitte and kill the Doku and go for a 9-drop. I think in this case, if you are the Luffy player, the best thing is to go wide, because we see a Vanager and a Laboon, so a Stronger and a Doku here, or a Vanager Doku or Laboon Doku, actually just kills the Luffy, and in the opponent's position he has seen that okay, we have a Doku, so we just need one of these 12 cards we play, minus the ones we have seen, that can just KO his thing. So I think if he had the options to, I would actually go wide here instead of playing a big card and leaving up the giant. So what we most likely will do is we will play the Vanager, we will play Doku, we will decrease Luffy, KO it, go 5 at lead and drop the Vasco here. And then we have full board, we have blocker, Luffy has to develop next turn, and he can't just play a big drop he has to play 2 small drops, and then he can't attack our board, and then we will still have our bodies, and then we can just like play the teach. So we are thinking some here. That's actually good. Even if the play is like crystal clear, there's always good to think a little bit what we are going to do, because there's maybe some other lines that's more efficient. And also, if we are playing in a tournament, it's also, we could take some time to think, but not too much. So look at this way: if you're playing in a tournament and you take 10 minutes for every play you do, you will probably play perfect or close to perfect, but that's not how tournaments work. You have 30 minutes on the timer plus 5 minutes overtime. So playtesting and playing correct, you have to learn how to do it at a reasonable pace too, because losing to time is one of the worst things you can do, especially if you are in a winning position just because you play slow. So I would recommend to get the habit to learn to play a little bit faster too, to do well in tournaments. So yeah, so if you play test and you think a lot when testing, try to learn to do it faster, because if you think a lot in tournaments, as I said, you will get punished by the time rules. So yeah, we are looking really good. If he goes for a big drop, we can drop Big Baba Teach next turn, and we can just stun him and then go face. And if he goes wide, we can also drop the Big Baba and just win from here. So this is the position you want to get to when playing against Purple Luffy, and it's really well played by Tera, adapting to what you see and setting it up. As I said before, there were some plays I would probably do different. For example, in turn 1 I would probably play the Doku instead, and there was some arguments to play the Burgess instead of the Van Auger, but in this case he actually did the right thing, because the opponent did not go wide, he went for a big drop. So yeah, I think this is a really good example on how to play the matchup. So we're just going to attack the Zoro. Yeah, also in this case, I was thinking about it before. We're going to go back 10 seconds. So we have stunned the Lin, and we want the Zoro Yuru to get killed, of course. But in this case, if we, instead of swinging at the Zoro Yuru with the 6 case, we go face, because if we swing with the 1 Augers on the Zoro Yuru, he can just throw 2 1Ks. But if we go face with everything, he actually has to throw 2Ks instead, because we're attacking at the 5. So I would actually, in this case, instead go at leader, because also he is in lethal range for next turn if he takes 2 life, so he has to guard and waste the counter. So if you are at a position where your opponent has a lot of cards in hand, you have for example a 6k and your opponent has a 6k, it may be better to attack at their leader if you know that they will throw a card if they are a little bit lower on life, because then they will have to throw 2k instead of a 1k. So I would actually go face here instead of attacking the Zoro Yuru. And now in this case, the opponent is going to throw 2Ks, so it will not matter in the end. But if he throw 2 1Ks instead, then we could actually have pushed the win down more. We're going to attack with the Laboon, and the opponent's going to do Giant. I think for Purple Luffy players, I think they hold Giant too much in some cases. So in this case, the opponent used Giant probably, if he did not have counter, to cycle his hand. So when you are a 10 don't be afraid to use Giant if you feel like you want to fix your hand some, because you will draw 2 cards, you will draw another card next turn, you probably have some life, you will see even more cards, you most likely is going to see another jump Giant if it matters. So if your hand is subpar and you want to cycle some cards, don't be afraid to use Giant if you are at 10 don. I would say a lot of the high rated Purple Luffy players I play against use Giant more offensively, just to cycle cards. So we're going to go 5, opponent will take it, and now the opponent is in lethal range for next turn. I don't see any way the Purple Luffy player can win from here, yeah, and he will concede. So I think this game is a really good representation on how you win against Purple Luffy. As Teach, you want to handle the Purple Luffy's board, you don't want to make him snowball the game. and also you want to stick your things to generate value for you. And in the other way, the matches you lose against Purple Luffy, it's when it gets out of hand. It's when Luffy goes first, or Sticking as Angoro when they go second, and you can't answer it, and then they just keep playing the value cards. You can't answer them, and he will just like kill you in the end, because you don't have any cards, because you bleed because of your leader and because you went aggressive. So I think this is a really good case on how you should play against Luffy and how you can win. Of course, there could be some minor adjustments that would have been putting us in an even better position. So yeah, that's it for this video. I just want to say thank you all again for the support I've gotten lately. Looking 1 week ago, I put up the video that now has some views, just for fun, for the Swedish community, to make some educational content, because I thought it was fun to do and do it. And now like people subscribe and want to see more, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity to do more of what I love. And I will try to do a lot more content in the future. I want to do some more fun things. I want to play some rogue. I want to cook some, but I also will focus a lot on teach, of course, because I think the deck is really fun, and then it's kind of became my trademark right now, the teach guy or something like that. So right now I'm waiting for OP10 to come to the simulator, and then I will start to cook a lot with OP10 teach. I live in Sweden right now, and I don't think I have that many big tournaments coming up for 09, so I will most likely be looking a lot more at the OP10 season. So I will do some OP9 stuff, but once the OP10 cards coming out, then I'm probably going to focus more on it, just because I'm going to play more tournaments with the deck. And also, as I said, I've gotten a lot of questions about coaching. I've been doing some coaching now with 2 guys, and I hope they are satisfied. And if you're looking to get some more knowledge on teach, how I play, how you can think about deck list, if you just want to vibe, if you want to learn how I approach the card game in general, then don't be afraid to hit me up on Discord, abstertcg, and make sure to follow me on X or Twitter. I don't know what to say. I always say Twitter, but now I just recently started saying X, abstertcg, and as it says in my bio, I only do base takes. So everything that will be put out there will be based and not cringe. Yeah, but thanks a lot again for watching, and see you guys in the next one.